Chapter 1. The Cathedral of Risk. It is 2:14 a.m., May 12, 1994. The North Sea is not just a body of water tonight. It is a black, churning void that seems to swallow the very concept of light. Imagine standing on the edge of the helideck. The wind, a force 9 gale, isn't just blowing, it's screaming through the steel lattice of the derrick, a high-pitched wail that sounds almost human. Below your boots, 300,000 tons of steel and concrete are anchored into the mud of the continental shelf. You can feel the vibration of the massive diesel generators in the soles of your feet, a constant rhythmic thrumming at 7 hertz that never, ever stops. In this era, we believed we had finally tamed this frontier. We called it the post-Piper Alpha Age. After the 1988 disaster, where 167 men were lost to a wall of fire, the industry underwent a spiritual transformation. It was the era of the safety case and the Cullen Doctrine. Every valve, every flange, every single weld was documented, inspected, and logged into a bureaucratic cathedral of risk management. We had convinced ourselves that if we measured the world precisely enough, it could no longer surprise us. But tonight, in the quiet glow of the riser hub control room, the numbers are starting to lie. The telemetry on platform 16/11E is showing a localized pressure drop that shouldn't exist. It's not a leak. A leak would be chaotic, violent. This is different. It's a slow, rhythmic suction, as if the reservoir itself is breathing, exhaling, and then inhaling everything we've built.
Vance, I've been staring at these thermal paper printouts for 3 hours now, and none of it makes sense. Look at the gradient on the manifold sensors. It's a perfect sine wave. Pressure doesn't behave like this during a structural failure. It's as if the gas is being invited out of the pipe. If that riser hub shears, we aren't just looking at a spill. The entire structure becomes a kinetic bomb. The tension in the legs is already peaking. I don't care if the wind is hitting 60 knots. I am not sending saturation divers into that meat grinder. We follow the protocol. We follow the safety case. Get the Triton XLX out of its hangar. I want that ROV in the moon pool and submerged within the hour. Do it now!
Captain, the hydraulic winch is already struggling with the platform's sway. If we deploy the drone in this sea state, we risk snapping the umbilical before it even hits the splash zone. The safety case says we should wait for a weather window, but the pressure gauges are screaming. I've never seen the needle vibrate like that. Okay, initiating launch sequence. God help us if that 3-kilometer copper thread breaks. We'll be blind in the dark.
Chapter 2. The Analog Eye, the Descent. The launch of a work-class ROV in 1994 was not the seamless digital operation we see today. It was a ritual of mechanical faith, a battle against the elements. On the control room monitors, the image is a jagged, flickering mess of green phosphor and tracking errors. As the Triton XLX clears the moon pool, the square opening in the center of the platform, you can see the violent salt spray hitting the camera lens. For a few seconds, the world is nothing but white foam and the scream of the winch. Then, the splash. Suddenly, the screaming wind is replaced by a muffled, rhythmic thumping, the sound of the ocean hitting the drone's titanium frame. As it sinks, the world of light disappears with terrifying speed. This isn't high-definition video. This is an analog PAL feed, a fragile stream of electrons traveling through 3 kilometers of copper umbilical, a thin armored thread that is the only thing connecting Pilot Miller's hands to a 150-horsepower hydraulic beast. Every meter of depth adds a millisecond of latency. Every flicker of static on the screen represents a moment where Miller is flying blind through a graveyard of forgotten shipwrecks, silt, and absolute darkness. At 200 meters, the water isn't blue anymore. It's a thick, bruised purple, then a heavy, suffocating black. The only reality is the hum of the cooling fans in the control room and the glowing numbers of the depth gauge, clicking deeper and deeper.
Splash time confirmed. Depth, 75 meters. Heading 180. I'm struggling with the surge, Vance. The current is pushing the drone toward the derrick legs. The backscatter from the marine snow is blinding. It's like driving a truck through a blizzard at midnight with the high beams on. All I see is white flakes reflecting my own lights back at me. Vance, give me a status on the thruster temps. The hydraulic feedback in the joystick feels twitchy, resistant. It's like the water itself has become denser, like I'm pushing through cold oil instead of brine.
I see it, Miller. Thrusters are peaking at 75% just to maintain station. Watch your descent rate. The safety case protocol says 2 meters per second max, but the winch tension is spiking. The swell on the surface is jerking the umbilical. Just keep it steady. We're passing 250 meters. Temperature outside is dropping, 4 degrees Celsius. Pressure is 25 bars and climbing. Wait, Miller, look at the sector scan sonar on the secondary monitor. 10 degrees to port. Do you see that? It's a hard return. A massive, solid reflection, right next to the primary riser hub.
A mass. Vance, check the seabed charts again. There's nothing there but featureless sand and silt for miles. I'm tilting the camera down, switching to the wide-angle lens. I don't like the way the signal is jittering. There's a ghosting effect on the steel pilings. Something is messing with the magnetic shielding of the cable. I'm moving in. God, it's quiet down here. I can almost hear the pressure pushing against the hull.
Chapter 3. The Obsidian Monolith. At 420 meters below the surface, the light from the world above is no longer a memory. It is a physical impossibility. The ROV's lamps, twin beams of high-intensity halogen light, cut through the murk like surgical scalpels. They are searching for the familiar, the rusted iron, the barnacle-encrusted concrete, the predictable wear and tear of industrial machinery. But when the light finally hits the object next to the riser hub, the signal on the CRT monitors begins to bleed purple and silver. It is not steel. It is not concrete. Rising from the silt of the seabed is a monolith of obsidian, a black volcanic glass that has no geological right to be here. It is a wall of absolute shadow, so dark that it seems to swallow the very light Miller is throwing at it. But it is the geometry that truly disturbs the mind. Natural rock is chaotic. It is jagged, eroded, and random. This is a masterpiece of impossible precision. 90-degree angles, perfectly flat planes that reflect the rove's camera like a dark funeral mirror. The sonar returns are screaming a warning that no one knows how to interpret. The object has an acoustic density of 14 megarails. It is harder than diamond. yet the sensors show it is vibrating with an internal, rhythmic kinesis. It is not a rock. It is a machine of glass, fused to our world.
Vance, tell me you're seeing the edges. Look at the join where the obsidian meets the riser hub. There's no weld. There's no bolt. It's as if the steel of the platform is being absorbed, like the glass is drinking the metal. I'm moving the drone closer. I want to see the texture. My floodlights, they aren't reflecting back at me. The surface is so smooth, it's confusing the autofocus on the lens. I don't like this, Holloway. I can feel a vibration in the joystick. It's not mechanical. It's a hum. It's traveling up the umbilical, through 3 kilometers of copper, and into my hands.
That's impossible. There are no volcanic vents in this sector. Geological formations don't have 90-degree corners, Vance. Miller, move the shilling manipulator arm. I want a tactile hardness test. Tap on that surface. I need to hear the acoustic resonance through the hydrophones. We need to know if this thing is hollow.
Extending the arm. I'm 3 meters away. 2 meters. Wait, Vance, look at the telemetry. The external temperature sensors are pegged. The water around the shilling arm it's boiling. We are at 400 meters. Water shouldn't boil here without a massive energy source. The cavitation bubbles are obscuring the camera. I'm losing the image. The electromagnetic feedback it's like a wall of static. My teeth. I can taste copper and ozone in the air of the control room. I'm backing off! I'm backing off now!
Miller, look at the depth gauge. It's fluctuating. The pressure sensors are reporting 400 meters, then 800, then 0. The monolith isn't just vibrating. It's warping the local gravity, or the sensor's ability to perceive it. Holloway, look at the manifold. The obsidian it's glowing. A deep, subperceptual violet. Something is waking up down there.
Chapter 4. The 19 Hertz Psychosis. In the narrow, windowless confines of the control room, the atmosphere begins to rot. It's a subtle shift at first, a heaviness in the air that smells of ozone and old sweat. But then, the hum begins. It is exactly 19 hertz. This is a frequency that lies just below the threshold of human hearing, but the body knows it. It is the fear frequency. At 19 hertz, the human eyeball enters a state of mechanical resonance. It begins to vibrate within its socket, creating the gray figures, peripheral hallucinations that skitter across the corners of your vision, vanishing the moment you dare to look at them directly. The men aren't just exhausted anymore. They are entering a state of clinical dread. The room feels as if it's shrinking. The flickering blue light from the CRT monitors casts long, distorted shadows against the steel bulkheads. You can hear the rhythmic clicking of the thermal printers, but the sound feels wrong, distant, like it's coming from underwater. Every man in the room is suffering from an acute infrasonic breakdown. The boundary between the grainy video feed from 400 meters below and the reality of the control room is starting to dissolve. They aren't just watching the abyss anymore. The abyss has found a way inside.
Holloway, stop it! Stop it! I told the night shift tech to stay back. He's right behind my chair, Captain. I can feel the heat coming off him. I can hear the wet sound of his breathing right against my neck. Holloway, tell him to move! I can't concentrate on the thrusters if he's touching my shoulder.
Miller, for the last time, there is no one in the room but us. It's the infrasound, damn it. The compressors are vibrating through the floor plating. Keep your hands on the joysticks and your eyes on the screen. Vance, look at the monitor. Tell me that's a signal artifact. The monolith. It's not black anymore. It's shifting. It's turning into a deep, bruised violet. It's pulsing like a heart.
Captain, the video feed is looping. Look at the timestamp on the bottom right of the PAL signal. We're watching a recording from 40 seconds ago. The system is frozen, but the monitor is still playing. The real-time telemetry data on my secondary screen says the ROV is already inside. The structure opened up like a flower of glass, Miller. It took the drone. It's inside the monolith right now.
I can feel it. I'm not touching the joysticks, Vance, but I can feel the drone moving. It's cold. So cold it's burning my hands through the controls. Something is looking back at me through the camera. It's not a face. It's a frequency. Holloway, the man behind me, he just whispered my name.
Chapter 5. Vance's Sacrifice, the Winch Deck. The situation on Platform 16/11E has reached a critical failure point. At 400 meters, the Obsidian Monolith has seized the ROV, not with mechanical arms, but with a gravitational or magnetic pull so immense that it is warping the steel chassis of the drone. On the surface, the 3-inch thick steel umbilical cable is being pulled to its absolute breaking point. You can hear the winch groaning, a sound of metal screaming against metal that echoes through the entire structure. If that cable snaps under this tension, the recoil will be catastrophic. It will whip back like a supersonic blade, cutting through the control room bulkheads and anyone inside. The remote hydraulic guillotine, the primary safety system, has failed. The electromagnetic feedback from the monolith has fried the circuits. There is only one option left: a manual bypass on the winch deck. But to reach it, someone must leave the pressurized safety of the core and step out into the heart of a Force 9 storm. It is a mission that the safety case protocols would never allow. But tonight, the protocols are dead.
I'm going out. Don't argue with me, Holloway. The remote triggers are dead. I can see the sparks from here. If I don't hit the manual release, that tension is going to drag the whole derrick into the moon pool. Miller, keep trying to stabilize the drone, but if you hear the snap, just get away from the consoles. Holloway, if I don't make it back inside, just tell my wife that the sea was quiet. Tell her I wasn't afraid.
Vance, no! You can't stand up out there! The wind is hitting 80 miles per hour! The deck is slick with oil and ice. Vance, come back! That is a direct order!
We hear it through the open comms link. The sound of the heavy steel pressure doors slamming open. The sound of the North Sea in its full, predatory glory. Vance's boots are clattering on the metal grating. You can hear his breath, ragged and sharp, as he fights for every inch of ground. The water is hitting him like lead shot. Every time the platform lurches 5 degrees, he has to cling to the railings to avoid being swept into the black water below. On the monitor, the cable is vibrating so fast it has become a blur. It's humming, a high-pitched, crystalline note that harmonizes with the 19 hertz vibration from below. Vance reaches the winch. We hear the sound of the manual hydraulic axe being primed.
I'm at the bypass. The cable is hot. It's glowing, Holloway. It's turning purple. I'm swinging the axe. 1, 2. It's not cutting. It's like hitting solid glass. Wait. Something is coming up the cable. A light. A pulse. Holloway, get away from the...
The sound that follows is not a snap. It is an explosion of pure energy. The tension on the line exceeded 30 tons at the moment of release. The energy released was equivalent to a kinetic missile hitting the deck. In the control room, the monitors blow out in a shower of sparks. The radio goes silent. When the wind finally dies down enough for the search team to reach the winch deck, they find the axe. It is fused to the metal grating, melted into a shapeless lump of steel. But there is no sign of Arthur Vance. No blood, no struggle, just the empty deck and the smell of ozone. Chapter 6. The Aftermath. At 4:12 a.m. on May 13th, 1994, Platform 16/11E went silent. The screaming of the wind on the winch deck had died down, replaced by a hollow, whistling sound that echoed through the empty corridors. The storm was passing, but the atmosphere inside the structure felt heavier than the sea itself. In the control room, the monitors remained dark. The smell of ozone and burnt silicon hung in the air like incense. When the sun finally rose over a gray and bruised horizon, the recovery teams found nothing. Arthur Vance was gone. No body was recovered from the churning waters below. No piece of his clothing was found snagged on the railings. It was as if he had simply ceased to exist in our physical dimension. The official report, filed 3 weeks later by Shell Oil and the Ministry of Defense, was a masterpiece of administrative erasure. It cited unpredictable subsea currents and a catastrophic mechanical failure of the winch assembly due to extreme weather fatigue. There was no mention of the Obsidian Monolith. There was no mention of the boiling water at 400 meters. And the 19 hertz hum? That was dismissed as a common symptom of sleep deprivation among offshore workers.
They took the tapes, Holloway. 2 men in suits, with no badges and no names, arrived on the first helicopter out. They didn't ask about Vance. They didn't ask if we were okay. They went straight for the Betacam recorder and the telemetry logs. I still see them, those gray figures, even now in the daylight. I'm not touching the joysticks, but I can still feel the resistance of the water. I'm still down there, Holloway, in the dark. The monolith didn't destroy the ROV. It welcomed it. In that last frame, before the static took the screen, I saw it. The glass wasn't rock. It was a doorway. And Vance didn't fall into the sea. He was pulled through.
I signed the non-disclosure agreements. We all did. They told us it was a matter of national energy security. But every year, on the anniversary of that night, I look at the old sonar charts I managed to smuggle out. The coordinates for 16/11E are still there, but the seabed is different now. Subsequent surveys show nothing but featureless sand. The monolith is gone. Or perhaps it's just waiting for the frequency to match again. I can still taste the copper in my mouth. I can still hear the snap of that cable. It's a sound that doesn't end.
Somewhere, in a lead-lined vault in London, That Betacam tape still exists, labeled as Technical Failure 16/11E. It sits in the dark, a silent witness to the night the North Sea spoke back. We built our cathedrals of steel to prove we were masters of the Earth, but the Earth has memories much older than ours. And some secrets prefer to stay buried in the silence, beneath the waves, beneath the noise.